I still remember the day everything changed between me and my oldest friend, Alex. We'd met in that awkward stretch between childhood and high school, the year our parents dragged us to neighborhood orientation on the same hot, sticky August afternoon. He was the kid who showed up in Star Wars t-shirt and flip-flops. I was the new girl who couldn't stop straightening her uniform. By the end of lunch, I tripped over my chair, spilled my juice, and laughed so hard Alex nearly fell off his dot. From that moment on, we were inseparable. We shared comic books, swapped earbud headphones at recess, and plotted elaborate pranks on teachers. We survived acne outbreaks and our first broken hearts together. But friendship, like every relationship worth having, isn't only made of laughter, it's also forged in stormy nights of tears, awkward silences, and the honesty that sometimes hurts more than it heals. The turning point came the summer before college. We'd spent the spring planning a 2-week road trip across the Southwest. We saved every last dollar, borrowed maps, bought camping gear at garage sales. It was supposed to be the greatest adventure of our lives. 2 days before we left, I climbed into Alex's overpacked car with my knapsack and a playlist of classic rock. He handed me a hand-drawn itinerary. Loved that about him, how he still trusted pencils over phones. We rolled out of the driveway at dawn, windows down, sunflowers on the stereo. For the first leg, we joked about music festivals and diner cheeseburgers. We pulled over at every scenic overlook, taking selfies under neon desert skies. On day 4, we pitched our tent by a crater lake and cooked ramen on a tiny camp stove. That night we lay back on our sleeping pads counting stars. I told him the future terrified me. What if I screw up college? What if I lose track of who I am? He nudged me with his elbow. You won't. You're stronger than you think. And I believed him because I'd always believed in him first. Then we reached Flagstaff. We stopped by a roadside cafe, ordered coffee, and sat in a riffed-up vintage booth. That's when he told me. I got into UCLA. I froze. UCLA was always his dream. He'd spent high school perfecting papers, tutoring kids, racking up volunteer hours. I clapped and cheered, but inside I'd already felt that old knot of jealousy tightening. I didn't get into Berkeley. I laughed it off, sort of. Berkeley had been mine, the one I'd stalked on campus tours, filled out applications for after graduation. I learned I'd been waitlisted. My heart raced as I watched his face light up. He hugged me, oblivious to the tiny dagger in my ribs. We drove on, but the energy shifted. At every gas station stop, our conversations felt tentative. I couldn't look him in the eye. On the 5th night, as we set up camp in an aspen grove near Sedona, he asked, "You okay?" I forced a smile. Yeah, but I wasn't. And I couldn't tell him why without sounding petty. Over the next 2 days, I bottled it up. I tried to cheer him on. UCLA is amazing. And believe him when he said he'd visit me if Berkeley came through. But every time I picked up my phone to text news of my Berkeley waitlist, I hesitated. I didn't want him to feel bad. I didn't want to ruin the trip. On the final leg, we headed back to Los Angeles. Traffic crawled for miles. Strip malls blurred past, billboards promising best burrito in giant neon. The car's air conditioning died. It was mid-July and above 90. I unzipped the back window, trying to catch a breeze. Somewhere near Pomona, we had our first argument. I glanced down at my phone when the waitlist notification finally pinged. Congratulations, you're off the waitlist. You've been admitted. My heart soared, and then plummeted. I looked up at Alex, singing along to Bruce Springsteen. Something in me snapped. I blurted, "I got in." He smiled, but when he registered the message on my face, his smile froze. That's awesome. I wanted to shout, "No, it's not." I wanted to tell him how betrayed I felt, how his joy felt like a sharp stone in my gut. But instead I just turned away. He leaned over. "What's wrong?" I slammed the door. "Nothing." He stopped singing. The rest of the drive back was silent, cruel, suffocating silence. We arrived at my house after dark. I climbed out without a word. He didn't say goodbye. For weeks after, I didn't call him. I couldn't face the shame of that anger. He texted once, "Hey, let's hang out." I ignored it. Berkeley called back and said there was a space. I celebrated with my parents. then cried when I realized I had no one to share it with. Everything felt hollow without my best friend. Months passed. I moved into the dorm. My roommate, a chatty theater major, I barely knew. I met professors, joined clubs, but at night I scrolled through old photos of me and Alex in funny hats, get-rich-quick schemes, midnight lake swims. I finally texted him. I messed up. I'm sorry, he replied. 2 hours later, I miss you. Come home for Thanksgiving. I booked a Greyhound bus. When I walked off the bus into that small-town terminal, my stomach churned. I stood there in the cold November air as leaves skittered down the sidewalk. Then I saw him wrapped in a hoodie, hands in his pockets. He looked older, somehow, but still my friend. I approached, heart pounding. He looked up. We said nothing. Then I whispered, I'm sorry. He hesitated, then hugged me. I could feel his familiar warmth, and I melted. We walked to the cafe where we'd sat before the trip. He ordered us hot chocolates. Our hands bumped, reaching for sugar. We laughed. When we both grabbed the tiny metal spoon. I almost didn't come, he said. Me too, I admitted. I was scared. We talked for hours. He told me about life at UCLA, the high-pressure classes, the friendships, the isolation. I told him about Berkeley, the campus protests, my roommate's midnight dance parties, the crushing homesickness. We both laughed at how dramatic we'd been. The anger that once separated us felt small now, like a bad dream. That Thanksgiving weekend, we patched the barn roof at my parents' farm, drank hot cider beneath the stars, and made a pact. No more silence between us. No more letting jealousy or fear fester in the dark. We promised to celebrate each other's wins as big as UCLA or Berkeley acceptances, and as small as tricky climbing holds in the backyard or a new chord progression on guitar. Years later, I still reflect back on that road trip, panned on the argument that almost tore us apart. Our friendship survived not because we avoided conflict, but because we faced it. We learned to say the words that scare us most. I'm jealous. I'm afraid. I'm sorry. We learned that real relationships, romances, or family ties are built not on perfection but on honesty, forgiveness, and the willingness to keep showing up, even when the road is bumpiest. Today, Alex and I live in different cities. He's a teacher now. I'm a writer, but every fall we carve out a weekend to camp under the stars. To remind ourselves of where we started. We still draw maps by hand, share comic books, and laugh until we fall off camp chairs. And I know that, no matter how far life takes us, our bond honed by sunlit highways and tear-streaked nights will always bring us back home.